Straight out of Forbidden Door and back into Dynamites, we are getting Blood and Guts, which tends to follow Forbidden Door at this stage. We're gonna come back to Blood and Guts, but firstly, we're gonna do a bit of a chat about a debrief, if you like, about Forbidden Door and how good that show was. So let's get into it. What's up, people? My name is Mekz, the WrestleManiac, if you will, reporting here for Revolution Radio Duty, and alongside my co-host.
Yo, people, it's your boy NK, aka the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. There's a lot to cover today, so man, let's get into it,
Yeah, man. Forbidden Door, go.
A show of highs and lows, but the highs far exceeded the lows. I think last year's Forbidden Door was a more consistent show. This year's Forbidden Show had higher peaks. That's what I'd say about Forbidden Door. Like, obviously, there's the main peak of like Omega Ospreay, but you had some good stuff with the All International title. You had a pretty decent women's match, and a great 10-man tag. But obviously, there were some lows like Tanahashi and so on and so forth. So that's like a brief summary of Forbidden Door.
Do you think there was any lows as well as the Tanahashi performance or match?
There's the whole Sting Darby Naito match. Yeah. That was like a low. That was like a low. That was bad. That was a bad.
I was saying on the podcast, and guys, we go in a bit more detail. Forbidden Door on podcast is coming out tomorrow, or I think for audio listeners it's out already. Because of the Will Kenny match, like I literally I was watching the 6-man tag match, but my eyes were just glazed over. Like I was watching it, but I didn't comprehend anything. Nothing went into my head, and I was transitioned. By the time I started clocking that, there's a match on TV, I should be paying attention to. My mind had then already started going towards Danielson versus Okada. So I can't even say this match was bad because I just didn't retain any information or anything that happened in the match.
Yeah, no, I clocked it was bad on the rewatch. Like on the rewatch, I said, okay, let me give this time. I was like, this was sloppy. I'd say it's even worse than MJF and Tanahashi, to be honest. Yeah, I'd say it's probably worse. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think MJF and Tanahashi is like, if you look past Tanahashi's performance, it's like a decent-ish match. Yeah, I felt like that 6-man was an absolute mess. Like it was actually a mess.
Chaos. Man, I don't know. Like what I'm thinking of is obviously Naito. Naito wasn't at the first Forbidden Door, and then now it's like we've waited for your coming, out party almost to America in the shape of AEW, and nothing to talk about, nothing to say. Naito has to come back or anything like that. Like,
but Naito's knees are also finished too. Like he's somebody that's. I think it's less prominent because he doesn't wrestle. Like even in this, he hasn't wrestled as many singles matches as Tanahashi, so like he's less in the spotlight. But Naito's pretty banged up too. Like it's not Tanahashi level, but he's not 2016 Naito anymore. He's not like he hasn't maintained that level that we expect of him.
Yeah, it's a shame. I think it's always a shame when you see your goats getting older and. Then unfortunately the way they tend to go out because they're just so addicted to this, they love this.
It's that Japanese style, man. It produces great matches, but longevity, I don't know. Well, to be fair, these man go long, but they go way past their sell-by date.
Yeah,
man like KG Muto and them, man, like these man will be hobbling to the ring, so it takes a toll on you, man. The sacrifices, man. I mean, there's a reason why, like, as much as we critique WWE style of wrestling, there's a reason why it sustains a lot of people's careers. Like, it's a style that can allow people to go in well into their 50s and still, have like a decent match here and there. So, it's pros and cons, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. But like you said, there was way more pros on this show than the cons. The main event was just it was very, very good. Just a really strong technical wrestling match. I know a lot has been said about the finish that kind of came out of nowhere. Obviously, we know that Danielson was injured and it's kind of they ended the match abruptly because of the injury. But by the time I had kind of got to grips with everything that happened in that finish, I said, well, you know, I think I put in our Discord that this must mean that All In Okada versus Danielson, and then I think it was Ben, big up Ben. He said that it's probably more so Tokyo Dome, Wrestle Kingdom next year. I said even better,
Yeah,
even better than All In. To be fair, because to see Danielson over there, I think is long
a must.
overdue. It's
It's a
long
must.
overdue. Yeah, they that has to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, then of course we got Omega and Ospreay, which was just excellent, start to finish, just excellent stuff. The 4-way for the AEW International title as well, I thought was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, what were some of your favorite matches on this card?
Yeah. Before you give if I answer the question first and I'll ask you a question later. But yeah, I'd say outside of obviously Omega Ospreay, my favorite match on the card was a 10-man tag.
Okay,
Just
yeah, you said yeah.
just Takeshita and Ishii, Takeshita and Hangman. Just seeing Shota there. Just like I just feel like Blackpool Combat Club and the Elite, like they haven't missed. Like they've had a bunch of different matches, and every match they've had, like I've come away from it thinking, yeah, that was a great match. And then that match was just, and I don't like 10-man tags. I thought 10-man tags are usually way too convoluted,
Cluster.
but that match had a flow to it, it had a structure to it, and yeah, man, like it was a great match. I was gonna ask you, like, just quick thoughts. Omega Ospreay 1 or Omega Ospreay 2, which one do you prefer? Not don't have to be objective. This is just personal for Mekz, WrestleManiac.
Yeah.
What do you prefer?
You know what? I was thinking about this yesterday when we were recording the podcast, and I haven't seen back either match. I watched them both live, watched them both in the moment. I think for me, the first one, because there's something for me about the build up, like obviously that press conference thing that happened. The sheer snarkiness of Omega speaking Japanese when you're fighting an Englishman, like I think that's all of that. I think there's something like there's a special aura about the Tokyo Dome as well, and it being just a massive match in the Tokyo Dome, like we said, Kenny's return, and then the match itself was incredible. It was like absolutely incredible. Like at this point, the IWGP title on either one of these men, I don't know if it really has much meaning. The US title, that is. Obviously their feud kind of supersedes the US title, and I don't know if Kenny had many defenses, to be honest, at all between
maybe
January
like
and
2 or 3.
Yeah,
I
mean, yeah, for me that first match is incredible. And maybe this is a harsh criticism, but for such two big guys and the full pelt they were going at and stuff, and 100%, I hold my hands up, I'm a spectacle merchant. This match at Forbidden Door just looked to me like these two were just having an incredible match at Dynamite. Just because AEW don't tend to put that effort in on their pay-per-views or big shows for what the arena should look like. Yeah. And that's maybe the Tokyo Dome. Yeah, the Tokyo Dome is just special in itself.
It's different, yeah.
Like, so for me, it's just like, if this had almost the settings, like, as well, this match could have taken it for me. But yeah, for now, until I see both of them back, I'll stick with the first one.
Yeah, I hear you. I think for me personally, I'm leaning towards the second one simply because of the drama element. I felt like the first one, obviously they had like you mentioned in the press conference, like the promos, but I felt like the first one was a more like technical match. And this one was just chaos. And it was just chaos. It was like the Don Callis stuff. It was a lot more drama. And obviously and I think it's the difference between the Japanese and the US crowd as well. Obviously I love the Japanese crowd, and Japanese crowd were animated in the Tokyo Dome, but that Western crowd, especially during the kick out at one spot, like those little moments. But I don't know. In a couple months, it could be. I could go back and watch the first one again and be like, that's the best one. But either way, like to have 2 matches of that caliber within the same year, and then maybe a potential for a third, who knows, bro? Like these guys, I mean, they should be proud. I'm saying they should be proud of this performance, but these are the performances they give us regularly.
Yeah,
So
this is normal
yeah,
bread for them.
so
Like this
yeah,
ain't
man,
steak or nothing. Like this is just like
yeah,
regular day's work. And
yeah, for
like we were
sure.
saying on pod as well, like it's the same names. You're talking about the best wrestler in the world, talking about the best matches, in the world. It's the same names dominating the conversation. That's enough for them to really be proud about. So yeah, Forbidden Door, another kind of massive success. It's obviously now all roads lead to All In, which is the next big show, that the first massive show that they're putting on AEW, that is. But of course, like I said, we got Blood and Guts in between. So yeah, we're gonna get to Blood and Guts. We're gonna do our rundown now of the Dynamite, AEW Dynamite from last night. So hit the like button if you're here, subscribe if you're new here, and yeah, let's get into it. Big up, Dell says Kenny only had 1 against Cobb.
Oh, first,
Only
I thought you had
defense.
more. Sure, no.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think this US title between these particular guys means much at all. It could probably do bits for somebody else, but this is just some type of just to put some title in between this feud. But
Oh, and before Del Boy, I see Del Boy in the comments. I humbly apologize to Satoshi Kojima. I humbly apologize to Kojima. I was unfamiliar with your game in 2023. I hold my hands up.
he's good.
He
He's
did. He
good.
did well. He did well.
Yeah,
He did well.
definitely.
You happy though? You happy?
Cool. Let's jump into Dynamite, and the show opened up hot. Jon Moxley versus Ishii. Stiff ass match, man. Like this match was crazy. The guys asking each other to be hit in the face, forearms, all of that kind of thing, headbutts, head to head. Like it was just crazy. DDTs literally being dropped on their head, defiance being shown by both guys. Moxley busted open in the middle of his head. Crazy match that at one point I did think it was actually going to go the distance. I feel like now, after the shenanigans of Adam Cole and MJF, I'm really taking into consideration when Justin Roberts says, how long the match is supposed to be. So this was half an hour, and it got to a point in this match I'm thinking, are we going the distance here? Because this feels long and as brutal as it was, sort of thing. But it was about 15 minutes. Yeah, there was a lariat, or I think it was. Yeah, lariat by Ishii on Moxley. And then Moxley bounced back, hit a Death Rider, hit a stomp, hit a Death Rider again, and pinned him. In between, we had Eddie Kingston come out to the come out to the ring to try even up the odds, because obviously the Blackpool Combat Club tried to get involved and stuff like that. They kept telling us, these stairs that were happening between Eddie Kingston and Claudio Castagnoli, so they're still kind of bubbling away in the back. And then after the match, we saw Moxley leave the ring, had a bit of a passing of words with Eddie Kingston, nudged into him as he walked up the ramp. So I would like to see something between these two, personally, but I guess they're still telling what's happening between Claudio and Eddie Kingston, and Moxley's trying not to upset either party, but at the same time he's Moxley. What did you think about this opening match and the segment?
I thought it was a great opening match. It felt like a G1 match. Just Ishii doing this thing. Like, I mean this with all due respect. He's the best loser ever. Like, he'll make you think he's gonna win when it's Ishii. He's not gonna win. But like, this match was hard hitting, brutal. And I think it was the reason why I'm happy with this like loss from Ishii is because like they gave him a big moment at the pay-per-view. Like they gave him the winning pin, and they made him look strong coming into this match. And again, it's Jon Moxley, 3-time AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Like there's no shame in losing to him. I'm a big fan of Eddie Kingston, but I'm low-key starting to feel like he's overstaying his welcome in this feud.
Okay, in the feud, okay.
In the feud. Not in AEW, in the feud. I kind of want to get back to the Elite versus BCC and not like have this.
But he just got here. Did he just get here?
I know. I wanted it a one and done, but apparently he's still here. Like I just wanted it at Forbidden Door, and it's kind of like, okay, like do your own thing in it. So, for example, I don't think he'll be at Blood and Guts because of G1, but I definitely don't want him at Blood and Guts. Like that spot cannot be for Eddie Kingston. Like respectfully. But yeah, him and Moxie is something I'd want to see again. Do you know what it is about Eddie Kingston? I just want him to have a big win, like singles wise. I feel we've told the loser story enough. Give him a big win and let him keep the win, because it's usually like they give him a win, but then they'll take it away. Chris Jericho, they gave him the win, but then he kept losing in the feud. Like, just give him a win and then send him off to something else. But overall, I thought the Dynamite started well. It opened hot. And Blackpool Combat Club and Elite is still like my favorite feud in wrestling right now. So we love to see it. We love to see it.
I can't lie. I guess when they were having no, they never had a match this Dynamite. There was some kind of interaction, I think, and I thought we're still going. I felt like we're getting to the point of it's beginning to overstay their welcome. So with Jon Moxley announcing that obviously we've got Blood and Guts, we've reached the end of the road. Ultimately, let's do Blood and Guts. I was happy that they, it's not gonna go into overkill. It's not going to go into Grand Slam or anything like that in September. Like, so yeah, I was happy with this opening segment as well. We had a backstage segment following this. Adam Cole had arrived. He's greeted by Renee Paquette. We see MJF jump out his vehicle, and all of a sudden MJF is bang on this whole blind tag thing. He's happy to be partners with Adam Cole. He's playing up to that really well. He's made Better Than You Baby shirts available on AEW.com. Like he's getting into his real cheesy bag like we've seen him do before with Sammy Guevara, with Chris Jericho. This kind of it's like troll kind of MJF, but still enjoyable. Do you think we should know, or obviously there's been a reason, there's been a change in his character from when this was announced to all of a sudden the happy-go-lucky MJF with Adam Cole? Do you think that should have been told? Do you think that's still we've got to find out what that is, why that change has happened? Or
I feel like we're gonna find out what that is. I feel like for me it's not pretty clear, but it's kind of like, okay, like this thing is a distraction for Adam Cole. Like if he's got some belt on him, he will leave me alone. And if he's got, if he's got some gold on it, and the thing is like, I think it's a way for like, okay, MJF is scared of Adam Cole because of that in the match. Adam Cole was seconds away from beating him. So it's like, okay, let's focus on this tag team thing. Let's become tag team champions. That way, his obligations are for the tag titles and he can leave this one alone. So, but I feel like it's going to be a thing, or it could be a thing where MJF lulls Adam Cole into a false sense of security, then attacks him. But I feel like this happy-go-lucky MJF thing, he always does it when he's desperate, innit? So
yeah, that's the word, desperate.
He always does it when he's desperate. Like, so I feel like his motivations, like they'll reveal themselves soon, innit? So I don't mind this, and I'm happy that at least what would have been a problem is if Adam Cole went along with it and be like, yeah, I trust you now. But Adam Cole's like, bro, I don't like. We're not boys. Like, what is this behavior? I'm just as confused as the audience. So I feel like Adam Cole kind of sells this angle more where he's just as confused as us.
Yeah. And I think we saw later on Roddy Strong was having a word of him. I literally died laughing when MJF said, "Oh, generic white guy." I said, this guy, man, he's just got one-liners for days. But yeah, Roddy Strong was warning Adam Cole against him. Not that Adam Cole needs the warning. He said, yeah, I'll just go along with it for now, see where we go with it. But yeah, after this initial segment, we saw backstage segment. Now Moxley and Eddie Kingston are backstage. They're having a war of words, pushing and getting a bit violent with one another because Eddie Kingston's trying to get to Castagnoli. And Renee Paquette was in the middle of this, which was very interesting to see. She wasn't in her usual reporter mode, interviewer mode. It was almost like she was an on-screen character trying to
Yeah.
stop her husband and her husband's friend having a fight, and she said she's given up. She's not gonna stand for this anymore ultimately, and they need to squash their beef, sort of thing, or she's done. Very interesting, I thought, to see Renee in this. I know, like in WWE, we saw her in some bits here and there, usually with the Miz taking shots at her or whatever the case is. What did you think of this segment with Renee's involvement?
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting. Like you said, Renee is very professional. Even like I remember like the Hangman Page feud they had earlier this year, where these like were making each other bleed every other week. Like she still maintained composure. But I guess with this one, I don't know if it's been established on screen in AEW television, but I know from like her podcaster sessions and stuff like that, like she's very fond of Eddie Kingston, in it. So it kind of adds like that real life element to this, where it's like, okay, like this is my husband, but you're also my friend. I don't want to be in the middle of this. I beg you, you lot are grown ass men, sort this out. And I kind of like that. I was kind of like, yeah, do you know what? At the end of the day, even though she's a reporter, she's a character of her own, and she doesn't need to take up the screen. We don't need to do like a cheat on his missus angle, but she can still be a character that's involved in the wrestling universe. So I like that. I like that. Like, and I don't think she'll play like a major role in anything, but I just like the fact that the people around them can see that this beef is getting out of hand, and that's what a wife would do. Like, if she sees you and your boys are beefing, like she'll have something to say about it. So it makes sense.
Yeah, and like you said, they haven't completely said on AEW TV that Renee is married to Jon Moxley. So
Yeah.
even just on a vague kind of point of view, it's like this could just be a woman stopping two people fighting, sort of thing. So yeah, I think he played it very well. Her role was really interested in it. I'll be interested to see if there's any more from her, depending where this goes. Because the way she said, "Oh yeah, I'm done." Like, what is she just gonna leave Moxley to lick wounds and stuff at night, or like it'll be interesting to see how far they go with this. So yeah, moving on, we had some more in-ring action. The most random match ever, but I felt it was good to kind of see some of these guys involved. Orange Cassidy, El Hijo del Vikingo, and Keith Lee versus Jericho Appreciation Society. So that was Daniel Garcia and what are their names? I was about to say 2.0. Matt Menard and Parker. Very random match. But I felt it was good to see Vikingo again. Always kind of lifts the energy here. I noticed Orange Cassidy had like even more tape on him. Like progressively each week, he's bandaging himself a bit more and more, telling this story that I guess his body's breaking. We saw Keith Lee, who's no longer sporting the beard and the gray hair. Everything's dyed black. Everything's looking nice and shaven. And you know what? I'll go as far as saying that he looks somewhat like a Keith Lee of old. Like he seemed to be moving really, like we'd seen him in previous years. 2018, 2019 Keith Lee. He looked a bit better, which is always good. Obviously, we had the usual kind of comedy shtick from the guys in the JAS. This match, we saw Menard got pinned. I'm trying to think. Was it the Keith Lee that put him away, innit?
Yeah, Keith Lee put him away, yeah.
Yeah, with a big bang catastrophe, I think he calls it.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of this match?
I thought this match was okay. I thought it was a bit sloppy at times. Here and there.
The Vikingo spot that he went into Keith Lee, innit? Like,
yeah, I think.
Do
you know what? I think what it was is that I don't think Matt Menard and Angelo Parker weren't even prepared for the spot, so they were like on the corners. So I think Vikingo just dived and there was no one there, and Keith Lee kind of shielded him to like stop him like doing the madness to himself in it. But that was awkward. But I think my takeaway from this match is that are they lining up Daniel Garcia to be the one to dethrone Orange Cassidy? Because he's still around. Because they're still doing the whole I want the international title angle, and he's being featured a lot. And there's not anyone else that's being featured, or is it another Swerve situation where they're just building another potential opponent? But I don't know. It feels like Daniel Garcia might be next.
I mean, I totally would not be against Daniel Garcia being next. Um, However, I feel maybe there's more towards business reasons. I just feel it's more like one of these guys that have been absent for an extended period, a Miro and Andrade, just to kind of quickly anoint them now that they're back and make people tune into Collision if that's where they're going to be. I think that is what you'd rather do. Daniel
Yeah.
Garcia, although he's been around, we were saying this as well the other day, like, you know, wins hasn't been his friend recently, you know, being in that win column. So they'll still need to kind of do something to maybe, well, to be honest, they don't need to build him up too much because the story they're telling is more that Orange Cassidy can't take it no more. But yeah, I can't see Garcia personally being the one to defeat him, although I wouldn't mind if he did.
Yeah, I think it's probably a Miro thing, and also I remember like on the early Collision posters, Orange Cassidy was heavily featured on there. But I don't think Orange Cassidy is featured in Collision yet. No, I don't think
No,
so.
no.
So I feel like the first time he goes on Collision, I feel like they're building up Miro with these squash matches for a reason. I feel like the first time he goes on Collision might be against Miro, and then that's when he loses.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think it's probably Miro, which
fine
I
with
don't
me.
have a problem. I have no problem with that. I have no
Just
problem with that.
yeah. Yeah, just quickly, because I saw some people talking about this on the timeline, but I saw nothing about this. I know at one point they mentioned the blind tournament thing. Is it true Swerve and Keith Lee been joined together as a team?
Yeah.
That was announced on the show.
I think it was during Excalibur's, this next week of Dynamite, next week of Dynamite,
Maybe
like
that's why I missed it.
it was during that. It was bare quick. Like it
Did they
happened,
do?
yeah.
They didn't do the whole raffle tombola thing?
No, they just
Okay.
put it on the screen. They're
Yeah. Okay.
facing the team of Darby and Orange Cassidy.
That's okay. That's the team. So I don't know what happened. I watched the entire show. I missed all of this, but they never showed the brackets, did they? Because they said they were going to show
No,
brackets.
there's no we have no idea. They're basically doing the Owen last year, where it's just we're just getting matches for the sake of it. Like
They're conning us basically.
they're just doing that.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think I did say last week that they're gonna put Swerve and Keith Lee together because it just makes sense. Like, if they think, like, I don't like any of these people they've put with Swerve since they think he needs a heavy, and this was the original pairing. Just make Keith Lee his heavy because Keith Lee seemingly can't wrestle every week now anyway.
Yeah,
So for health reasons, so it just make Swerve like, or Keith Lee finally buys into Swerve's badness, and we just go from there.
yeah. I think Swerve and Keith Lee had a perfect pairing, to be honest. Like Swerve and Our Glory was great, and I feel like them as a heel team would have been even better. But you know, we. But it's funny though. Like we've had them split apart, come back, and we still never got the match. I don't want the match at this point. I don't care
Yeah,
about the match.
I don't
But
care.
it's just funny. It's just a funny fact that we've never gotten the match.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I think it's one of these things, you know, TK, when he's got his mind set on something or wherever he wants it to go, yeah, that's where he wants it to go. And for, I guess, that exact reason, that's why he's probably brought these two together again in the tournament. Del says here, do you guys think it would have been better if they announced all the teams, then made stories and segments from that, as opposed to them just telling us the pairings and matches? Yeah, this is where you feel like you're being a bit conned, like, or I think maybe sometimes I look at it from too much of a sports orientated, how a tournament needs to look.
I just
You see
felt
what I mean?
like obviously they're doing the whole MJF and Adam Cole stuff. The way they did that was perfect. Obviously, but you're not going to dedicate a whole segment to every other team.
Yeah,
I feel like maybe announce the brackets of the tournament, right, and then have like a quick backstage segment of, hey, the two guys meeting each other, be like, oh, we're a team now. I like you or I don't like you, and then move on. Have it be like literally 10 seconds of like, okay, this is the team that's going to compete next week versus that team. How do you guys feel about meeting each other? Yeah, we feel bad about it,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
move on. It
Little
doesn't have to be like,
segments like that they can
yeah,
just embed in throughout the shows, sort of thing. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
I don't like the random just throw a match on TV for whatever reason. I'm like, okay, how did we get here?
and it's literally how I feel. I feel like we're being tricked. I feel like they maybe haven't worked it out, and that's exactly how I felt with the Owen last year. That they haven't worked this thing out. They're just giving us
No.
matches, calling it Owen qualifying matches, and then when half the tournament was done, that's when they finally showed us brackets and stuff like that. Dell says announce 15 teams, and then the last team they tell us is Adam Cole and MJF. Yeah, like I don't think this is it's not hard or anything like that. I just think they haven't figured it out or figured out how they're going to do the booking before they've started it, and that's why it's like, okay, we can't. You know, they told us they're going to give us brackets, and they did give us brackets. So, but yeah, but from what you've said in terms of what the teams are looking like, it looks interesting, and I'm invested. So we'll see how it goes. We had a backstage segment with the Elite issuing out a 6-man tag challenge. Dark Order interrupt and basically said they're accepting the challenge and they want to fight because Hangman's a traitor and Hangman's now hanging around with the Elite. He dashed Dark Order to one side and stuff. Good to see Dark Order. Yeah, they're not lying at all. Good to see Dark Order get on TV. They were really like a standout of the early AEW days. Once they got themselves together, because obviously early Dark Order was difficult to watch at times. But then once the Brody stuff happened, and you know, they became fan favorites for a period, especially over the pandemic. So it's good to see them get a chance. Before we went into that match, we had a backstage segment with Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. They've laid out the challenge to have the Tornado tag match for them in the main event against Sting and Darby Allin, which we will get to. And Jericho is coming as the Painmaker.
I hate the Painmaker. Oh, but I hate the Painmaker. It's corny. I hate it. Like, look, in Japan, cool. This Painmaker thing is dead. I'm sorry. I don't like it. I'm bringing out the Painmaker. So, who cares? Who cares? Like, who actually cares about?
The thing is, like, I don't like. Obviously, we've got like someone like Finn Balor that evolves into the demon or whatever. And for me, the demon is been killed at this point, but it's the pageantry of it all. With the Painmaker, is my man just paints his face white and comes up and does little crosses around his eyes and done. Like it proper feels pathetic sort of thing. Like in Japan, it was cool when he first kind of come out with it, but this
this is corny, fam. I can't lie. I don't like this Painmaker thing at all, man. It's a name for the sake of a name. It's I don't know, man. This is alternate costume in 2K. That's all it is.
Basically, DLC thing. We got into the match, Dark Order versus the Elite. I guess the main story being told here was just Hangman just didn't really want to get involved in this match when he was tagged in. Didn't want to strike these men, didn't want to hit them or anything like that. The Bucks are continuously telling him to, you know, get his head in the game and all that kind of thing. Eventually he went for it against Uno. I think it was that he started striking back and stuff like that. We had, you know, those great tag team spots between Reynolds and John Silver in this. And then for the finish, there was the Bucks hit a BT trigger. We got a buckshot lariat to John Silver. And yeah, the Elite got the win. Following this match, we saw the BCC come out of nowhere, storm the ring. What happened? What they call Dark Order left the ring, and Dark Order just basically said we're not helping you or anything like that. Moxley had the ting. Moxley stabbed Hangman in the head, so he was bleeding, and then they rushed up Elite, and then that's when Moxley said enough is enough. Like, time to draw a line under here. We're gonna end this. Blood and guts. What's your thoughts on the match and segment?
I thought the match was good. Solid match. Obviously it's not as good as that Dark Order versus the Elite at like All Out last year, but it was a solid match. I like the fact that they've addressed this now, because it's like all this time Hangman left the Dark Order. I'm like, nah, you man should be vexed. Like, literally, Hangman's crowded moment was with you, man. So like you man need to get your get back. And obviously they tried, but they failed. So it was what it was. But yeah, I just like the fact that that part of the story's kind of been covered, and maybe they'll reconcile later on. But it's not the main story right now. Obviously, the BCC come back and attack, and then we announce Blood and Guts. The only thing about Blood and Guts now, I'm kind of sad, is that obviously Danielson won't be in it, because of the injury, and also with Blood and Guts, does that mean they will replace Danielson, or will it just be a 4v4?
I think a 4v4 is fine.
It's fine, but then I wanted a Bushi, man.
So, okay, wait. I mean, when is it? When did they say it is?
Think.
Surely within the next
let me have a look.
I think
It's
maybe
like
within
2
3
weeks or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless
July 19th.
Yeah, so give or take 2-3 weeks. I don't know how they can run this now. There's three of them, man. And Takeshita, that's 4. Then
That's 4.
Omega, the Bucks, and Hangman is 4.
It's 4.
So it would have been then Danielson on BCC and Ibushi on Elite.
On the other side, yeah. And obviously Eddie Kingston would be out of the picture because G1.
I'm thinking here. Well, I'm thinking here, with all the Takeshita and Donkali stuff, could BCC find an ally in Osprey for the sake
G1.
of the G1, innit?
That's the thing. All the New Japan heavy hitters are locked off. Like, there's just G1 time in it. So I don't know that. But the Osprey, I mean, so the Don Callis stuff, finding an ally makes sense. But it's just like, who? Like, it's just the who, because it's got to make some sort of. They've either got to have a vendetta against Kenny Omega or be friends with. And I don't see Eddie Kingston's in G1 anyway, because you could have done a thing where Eddie Kingston switches sides for Moxley, but you can't do that because he's in G1. I don't know. So it's a bit of a techie one. I don't know what they can do.
Yeah. Unless they just have
and Shota's in G1 as well. So it's like you can't even use Shota.
Yeah. Unless they just they bring in Ibushi still, but he's obviously not in the match. He just, I don't know,
at
some point to help or something like that.
Yeah.
Still possible, but yeah, I guess we'll, we got a couple of weeks to see how that's gonna pan out anyway. We had the video of the men's Owen Hart tournament, the participants and all that kind of thing. At this point is where we had that backstage of Adam Cole and Roderick Strong and MJF and Roddy telling Adam Cole just to be careful of him and stuff like that. Then we had the debut of Hollywood Jack Perry, or whatever he's going to call himself these days. So Jungle Boy comes out, music playing. He says, turn it off, turn off my music, blah, blah, blah. You people. And the minute, that's the first you people. And I said, okay, here we go. I was strapped in. I'm waiting for this now. You people made me hate this song and this, that, and the other. And he proceeds to, insert the crowd and all of that kind of thing. Talks about the money he's making and his misses and the J that he's banging, and started talking about Hook, and Hook's got a title and Hook's taking the piss out of him and all of that kind of stuff. Mixed in with what I'd called, earlier today, I called it just generic heel kind of shtick. Then eventually we got Hook coming out, and Taz I think was very good to kind of just sell Hook as a big deal and that Hook is really pissed and all that kind of thing. And then we saw Jack kind of scurry from the ring, run backstage. The chase was on. They kept showing us like backstage what was going on. Jack knocking stuff over to kind of get out of dodge. Tony Schiavone says on commentary, Jack, you better dive into that car head first. And Jack literally dived into the car
head first. That was funny.
And closed the door, car stirred off. So he's made away and Hook didn't catch him and Hook's pissed off. What did you think of this? The turn, the verbiage, the promo, everything. Like,
I didn't mind the verbiage. I just think the delivery was poor. I feel like I've heard other heels, because if you think about what he will say, none of them really reinvent the wheel too often. Of course, you have like those
True.
amazing, but all of them is like, you people, this city stinks. I did this because this, and so on and so forth. So he did that, but there was no conviction. And
Yes.
I think Jack Perry has been miscast. The type of heel he should be is a coward.
Yes.
The type of heel he should be. I feel like you should lean into the Hollywood Jack Perry stuff. He should dye his hair blonde. He should
Cut it. I think cut it and then dye it.
Do you know what? I think he should leave it long, yeah. So he's almost like a pretty boy. I feel like, yeah, with the Hollywood, because I think the jacket he was wearing was his somebody put on Twitter was his dad's old
His
jacket
dad's
that he
jacket,
wore.
yeah.
I feel like Jack Perry's character now should be, I'm a pretty boy. I come from Hollywood. I'm above you wrestling, man. Not as far as like Tyler Breeze, but Tyler Breeze-ish, where it's just like, I'm Jack Perry. Like, I'm an actor. Like, I come from Hollywood. Like, my goal is not to win the AEW championship. My goal is to be in films and just really because I feel like Jack Perry's not intimidating. He's not MJF where he can cuss a man out, or he's not witty, he's not smart. But people have called him a pretty boy. People have said, he's even in shoot and in kayfabe shoot, he's a nice guy. So maybe highlight the soft features of Jungle Boy or Jack Perry now, and just make him like this almost effeminate. Just I'm a Hollywood pretty boy. I'm a nepo baby. And what? I feel like I feel like that's what they need to lead, and because we saw that in the end when he was running away from Hook. Like that was the most entertaining part of the segment when he was being a coward. So I feel like putting him in that type of character suits him a lot more than, because I feel like right now he's trying to be I'm bad, I hate you people. You don't have the capacity for that, big man. That's not who you are. But what you do have is Hollywood. I agree. It should be Hollywood Jack Perry. Hollywood. Just be bougie. He should be coming out with and put him and Anna Jay back together. Anna Jay's not doing anything in JAS. Have Anna Jay almost be like just flat like Edge and Lita, just fanning him, being in complete awe of him, have her cheat to win matches. Use that. I feel like with
it's
Jack
almost
Perry,
him taking the Sammy Guevara, Tay Conti stuff. And
take that. I feel like with Jack Perry, it's like he's the weakest out of the pillars, and we kind of see why. He's not someone who's good at this stuff, but I like the fact that, you know what, they gave him an open mic, they put him out there because it's a baptism of fire, or sink or swim. So we'll see in the coming weeks whether he improves or not. This was kind of like, okay, an assessment. We have now seen where Jack Perry is, where he is now. Over the next coming weeks, months, we must see improvement. We must see improvement, because this is the first time he's been outside by himself. No Christian to feed off of. Nobody standing across him to kind of save the segment. This was him by himself. And to be honest, it wasn't good. But I hope he improves.
And being a heel at this point, it's like before when he had split from Christian and all that kind of stuff, his wrestling, his ability would save him. And right now as a heel, you're going to have to show us hella character, more so than wrestling sort of thing. We know you can wrestle. Dell says he's got to be like Dolph. He's got to be the show. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So with me, I think there's almost like a level of, like you said, miscast. I think that's probably the best professional way to put it, because I feel like AEW done him a disservice in the way that they've been working with this guy for the best part of 4 years now. You should have known he can't do this. You really should have known that this was a step too far for him. Now, I totally agree with sink or swim. Like, okay, let's try it. Like, there's no harm. He might knock it out of the park, sort of thing. What he did knock out the park was the cowardly heel stuff and running away after running his mouth. I think that was great. He looked good. He looked like a cartoon, like just literally running away, like trying to make an escape. Very cartoonish, very entertaining. But yeah, the believability, the bass in the voice, shouting down the mic, I bang this, bruv, we don't believe you in it. Like, it's a sudden switch. Like, you've created a great case for maybe the road he should go down. I was even thinking the switch was too sudden. Like, it should be more like he's coming out, he has another match, and like, he cheats to win. He does a low blow, and it's like, oh, like, I've done a low blow. Like, I like this cheating thing. Like, it can get me places, sort of thing. Like, it's more like a slow, like the heel turn has happened, but it's more like a slow burn sort of thing. He's still discovering himself, because this was what it was a matter of weeks ago. Put a chair in his hand. I'm not too sure if I want to do this, sort of thing. You see what I mean? And now it's all of a sudden quick change. I'm wearing sunglasses. I'm wearing leather jackets and all of that kind of thing. I like the idea of him being the heir to the throne of his dad of Hollywood. Yeah. Like, I'm above this sort of thing. Like, I'm using this as a platform to get to Hollywood. Like, let me just be open and honest with you people. I don't care about wrestling. Like, I love all of that. I just think maybe with the promo he delivered, maybe he need to grow into that, and that's why it came across like as a baptism of fire. It was too much too soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Jack, and yeah, like you said, he's the weakest probably character-wise of all of the pillars. But there's a lot of upside on him, and if they get this right, he could be right up there, sort of thing. You know, by the time you turn him face again or whatever the thing may be. But on the night, I just felt like they fed him to the wolves. Like, honestly, the crowd went into it. I just felt like it's hard to blame Jack. Like, yeah, you should be doing promos and practicing, but I feel like you guys should have known that this guy can't do this. Like, not yet anyway.
No. That Four Pillars feud kind of really showed who's got what.
Yeah,
it really showed who's got what in it. And Jack Perry's promos are always the weakest out of all of them. Like, Sammy's were good until he tried to be a babyface. But Sammy the thing is with the Four Pillars, like, Sammy feels like not one-dimensional, but Sammy's best work is as a heel. He hasn't figured out the face stuff yet. And then Jack Perry's like, as a face, he was good, but he was good as a tag team. Like, Jack Perry solo-wise has had little spurts of like being a good face, but was never really the face. So I was like, okay, let's turn him heel. But then we've turned him heel now, and it's like, okay, we have to really go to the drawing board now. We got to scrap everything, and we just got to go route one. What is your character?
Yeah, you got to make a plan.
Who are you? Yeah.
If you're going to make him a heel, you got to make a plan. You have to pave a road. Like, even as you're saying there, he was a face in a tag team and went on his own. He was a good face. But even then, if we're honest with ourselves, it was probably his wrestling that done a lot of that for him, and not so much anything to do with character, you know? No. So, yeah, some work to be done there. Not off to a good start, but, you know, it's only first week, so we'll see what happens from there. We never had the Ruby Soho Britt Baker match, which was a match that was meant to take place for the Owen tournament, right? That was an Owen tournament match. Yeah, we never had that because Britt Baker is ill. So instead, Soho faced a native of Ontario, Canada, Alexia Nicole. Pretty much a squash, beat her in about 2 minutes. There was a lockjaw as a finish to obviously send a message to Britt Baker. Ruby Soho afterwards basically called out Baker, you know, you're not sick, whatever the case is. You made me now come to Canada. And yeah, when they do have the match, that is going to be a mad thing, basically. So yeah, on the women's side of things, quickly, who do you think is going to win the Owen tournament for the women?
Willow.
Okay.
I say Willow or Ruby. I think one of those two. I think Britt Baker doesn't need the win. She's Britt Baker, and she won last year, so I don't think she'll win again. Yeah, I think Willow or Ruby will be good. I'd personally want Willow because there's a lot of momentum. And one thing I will say that AEW have done well, obviously the momentum has come from mostly the New Japan Strong stuff, but I feel like they've kind of carried that momentum into AEW. We'll see with this Owen tournament, innit? But yeah, like, she's got momentum now. Use it. And especially now that, you know, she's going to be facing Julia in Japan.
Yeah.
You know, she's representing not only New Japan but AEW as well. Give her something. Give her some momentum. Make her feel like, oh, like she's a big deal. So for me, I'd say Willow. But if not Willow, then do something with Ruby Soho. But the only thing about Ruby Soho is that they give her the Owen win, and there's not much next for her.
Follow up, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like with Willow, the follow up is easy. Just have her defend the IWGP Women's Strong title regularly, or on Collision or Dynamite, or even Rampage. Rampage is now looking like an indie-rific show anyway. So have her defendant on one of the shows, and that's the payoff. That's like, yeah, she's champion for a reason because she just won this Owen tournament as well. She's clear. So yeah, that's what I think. Willow should do it for me.
Yeah, my first choice is Ruby Soho to win, just for a little accolade for within all these Outcast stuff they're doing. My second choice is actually Athena. And I think the next match that's happening is Athena versus Willow. That's going to be very interesting. I think either one of those two makes the final at the very least.
Yeah, and they're both champions as well.
And they're both champions. I think it's Athena. I was saying the other day, it might be a bit rough for Willow to lose on pay-per-view as New Japan Strong champion, obviously Forbidden Door, and then lose to Athena again. Might be a bit rough. But yeah, Ruby Soho for me, first choice, then Athena.
First.
No, we'll see how that goes. We had a segment here with Johnny TV. I haven't even watched. But I saw some stuff on Twitter, and I saw he was back last week, and I was like, oh, NK's guys here.
Why is he here? No, like, big man thing, is the wage salary not high enough? Like, big man, no. There are guys who are struggling for TV. Like, no disrespect to John Morrison as a human, but as a wrestler, I'm tired. I'm tired. Like, the problem is, there's no prospect for him. I don't want him in TNT. I don't want him in All Atlantic. There's nobody I want to see him tag team with. There's no match there's no scenario where I'll look at Johnny TV, Johnny Elite, Johnny whatever, Johnny Freerunner, whatever gimmick he's got right now. I don't want to see him on my TV. This guy needs to be somewhere else. He needs to go back to Impact. That's where he belongs. And I know those in the comment. I don't mean that as a disrespect. I mean that Impact is where, he had a good run. The fans know him there. They'll like him there. Not in AEW. The roster's already tight. We're already asking where certain guys like Rouge and these man are. You want to add Johnny TV to my list? Get this guy out of my company, man. Respectfully. Nah, man, I'm tired. He's taking up TV time.
I would just like to, if they want to bring him and use him in AEW, maybe he, put on decent matches and lose, like that kind of pretender kind of role. I don't mind it, but character-wise, it's just the same old character that we've been seeing everywhere that he turns up. So I just want something different. I'm also bored of the character, not him.
But he's never been a character guy, Mekz. That's not his portion.
No, that's true as well. But I mean, I literally mean the whole hand in the air, slow motion, long jacket crap. That's what I just presentation. Sorry, that's the word I'm looking for. Then presentation. Just give me something different. I feel like I've been watching this guy since I was a child. Literally, and it's the same iteration of the same man, with different names, because if he turns up a different company, he changes his name.
Johnny TV is crap, man. That's crap, man. That's nonsense. And the thing is, you're putting him with QT Marshall, who's do you know what I'm saying? Already, you're putting him in something that I don't care about. Who cares about that? QT Marshall's actually a pretty decent wrestler, but we don't care. That's
the bigger issue. So now confirmed, them man are joke man, but then you're still rubbing shoulders with Powerhouse Hobbs. So now you're making Powerhouse Hobbs a joke man by default.
What are they still with him like that though? I haven't seen them together in time.
They were on Collision together last week or so, isn't it?
Do you know what it is? I blanked them out of my mind. I don't see them, man. But yeah, no, it's true. Take Powerhouse Hobbs away from these man, because these man are jabrones. They didn't even, at least when he was TNT champion, I thought, okay, they'd help him steal a win. But Powerhouse Hobbs, his name is Powerhouse. He shouldn't be stealing wins like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Take these joke men. These men should be feuding with Hardy Compound.
Something like that. That's what he needs to find himself. Dell says, nah, he has been a character. The character we're asking for, Jack Perry, is what he did in ECW. I guess that's the WWE version of ECW, which fair enough. I didn't see that, but
I didn't see that.
yeah,
But what I've seen now, Johnny TV, Johnny Impact, Johnny Elite, the Mr. Starship Pain. I'm in pain. I don't want to see you on my TV, respectfully. I don't want to see.
Through to the main event, Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho versus Sting and Darby Allin. There's a Texas Tornado match. Yeah, all the crazy spots, everything from going into the crowd and all that kind of thing. Coffin drops, skateboards onto people's backs and all them kind of things. But we'll talk about the spots.
Hey.
2 tables set up relatively far from the ring. We can all see that these tables are a good distance away from the ring. So no matter who would have went up there, and of course you put your money on the younger guys to pull it off. Darby started the climb up the ladder, and Sting started a climb or told him to come down. And I thought Sting was literally just telling him it's not worth it. Don't do the jump, like calm down. Not knowing my interpretation was incorrect, and it was Sting telling him to come down. I'm going to go up and do it. So already they were telling us on commentary, what is Sting doing? It's like you could hear the panic, the change in voice, which I think was brilliant. I could just imagine them like hitting each other on the shoulder, like, what's my man doing, sort of thing. And plus, they were telling us obviously the distance of the tables from the ring, that this dive is gonna have to be a mad thing for him to get it. Sting dived. He didn't go all the way up the top of the ladder, but he went relatively high up. Sting dived. He didn't fully catch Sammy Guevara, who was on the table. It almost looked like as he hit Sammy Guevara on maybe the knee area, Sammy Guevara's knee, I'm assuming it was, went into his mouth, which caused the bleeding from his mouth. I think something happened to his tooth. He immediately grabbed his mouth. Yeah. He lost a tooth. Yeah, he immediately grabbed his mouth. You could see later on when he came back to the match, like there's blood around his chin area and stuff like that. Only one table broke. He didn't get all of it. Like, God bless this man for trying. I've loved Sting in these. You know, I've said many a time, Sting's usage in AEW is exemplary. It's been brilliant, sort of thing, and I think he must have said somewhere, because everyone's of the notion that, you know, this is his last year. He's winding down now. Maybe that's contractually or whatever the case is. He didn't need to do this. Of course, he didn't need to do it. But I don't know. For you, what possesses man to do something like this? And
but you know what? Yeah, do you know what? Sting's done this throughout AEW, and I just think,
yeah, that's true.
I feel like he's been getting away with it, and today was the day where luck was not on his side. And also, I feel like you said, the positioning of the tables was mad, because like that's even for Darby, that's far back up. But Darby, but for Sting, and it's like, the thing is, the spot would have came across better if they just pushed the tables forward just a little bit. It would have been fine. But it's one of those ones where I feel like you tempt fate, and they've been tempting fate, because I remember, like, I don't know what pay-per-view it was but Sting was on a balcony and he dived through like 4 tables stacked on top of each other, and he made it out fine. Like, every pay-per-view, or every time I see Sting in one of these hardcore matches, I always think they got away with one. They got away with one. They got away with it. And then now it's like they ain't got away with it. And
I think all the ones you mentioned, even including the one where he went for the tables, it's like people were catching him. A lot of those spots, people were catching him. And the table one, I think it was being a spear onto the tables, and then obviously the tables will collapse like cards and stuff. This was, I need to make the jump. And I think it's one of them ones as well, when you may have gone up that ladder and seen these tables are too far, but it's too late. Like, I now need to just follow through and do it.
Like, if this is Sting's retirement year, good. I feel like he's A-list, like Delboy said, the vignettes of his AEW run are gonna be stuff of legends.
It's gonna look crazy.
You're gonna think he was some hardcore Sandman wrestler. Like, you're gonna They're gonna talk about the reinvention of Sting. He became Mick Foley in the latter half of his career.
Literally.
But yeah, I just feel like, you know what? I'm happy he's okay. Like, ultimately speaking, like, he still was able to finish the match. I didn't look he hurt himself too much, but I feel like wind it down. I feel like towards that, like, he's probably gonna have one more. His last match will probably be like a hardcore-esque match. But let this year be the last year, because I don't think this tarnishes anything he's done. But just go out on a high in it. I don't want it to be like a God forbid he does a madness and then he like injures himself, like, especially at his age. Like, you can't afford to be injured like that, innit? So I feel like, you know, it was a scary spot. He came out of it okay, cool. But let this be kind of like, okay, a cautionary tale.
Let
Okay,
this
like, this
be
man's
a
old.
warning.
This be a warning, because sometimes we're forgetting that Sting's old. He's been like, you know what I'm saying, man was in that early WCW days. He's been around. Like, he's been around at least 8 generations of wrestling.
Yeah.
Cool it down. Cool it down. Cool it down. Cool it down.
Yeah. It was something. But yeah, we thank God he's all right. But yeah, match, you know, still went on after that. There was a couple of death drops by Sting, Cold Breaker by Jericho. Then I think Sting got him into the Scorpion Deathlock, and Painmaker tapped out. So it'll be interesting to see where these guys go. I guess the rumors is that these two will be a match, Jericho versus Sting at All In. I think that's what a lot of people are saying. It not like so much coming out of the industry. I think that's what the fans are kind of predicting may happen.
I don't know. I mean, obviously they're gonna gimmick the match bare, but do you know what? Jericho being the one to retire Sting makes sense.
You reckon?
Like, yeah, I think it makes sense. Like, a legend, like, you know, like, obviously Sting's like a like probably a generation above him or two above him, but it's like, you know, they were around about the same time, like in WCW and stuff like that. So I think it makes sense, but I don't know.
I thought the plan all along has been Darby gets that last match.
Maybe, possibly, yeah, maybe we do that. I don't know,
As more of
but
like a passing of the torch sort of thing.
torch. Yeah, you could do that. I don't know. But Jericho versus Sting at All In. I don't know. Do you know what? I go through these
Eye
periods of,
contacts.
yeah. I just
Eye
oh
contacts,
my
legend
god.
tax. That's it. It's gonna be
Yeah, that's it,
a
man.
big crowd. They'll love to see, I
Yeah,
guess, those two names in a marquee in it.
true. And yeah, like having like 65,000 people sing Judas and then see Sting's entrance with the snow.
Yeah.
Spectacle. Do you know what spectacle first?
Yeah.
Wait, you know how they're doing the Goldberg rumors? Do you think you'll be involved? I can see it now. I can see
Unless they do their own version of what WWE tried to do, like some over, you know, when
Yeah,
Triple H and Sting, and they do some
yeah,
overbooked thing, and obviously Goldberg and Jericho got beef
yeah.
from the past as well. So
I
who
could,
knows, you know?
I could just see Jericho pinning Sting, and then they'll be like, "Yeah, I'm the best ever in WCW, the Painmaker." Obviously, they don't have license to Goldberg's music. You just hear,
They can make something like that. Yeah.
and it's like Goldberg. I can't lie.
Mad.
Even though I've been cooking Goldberg, if they do it like that, I'm gassed.
Yeah. Bro, spectacle. I'll tell you, spectacle
I'm
will make you cheer for anything. Like, nah, that could run and be very entertaining, to be fair. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that'll be
I can
sick.
see if they do have a match, like you say, they'll over gimmick it, make it interesting, call back maybe a lot of legends and all that kind of thing. Like, that could be good fun for a live crowd, especially. But yeah, man, that was Dynamite from this past week. You know, straight out Forbidden Door into another good Dynamite. We got Blood and Guts, like we're saying, about 2 to 3 weeks away, and then, you know, about a month or so after that, 4 to 6 weeks after that, we've got the double header, if you like, of All In, All Out, which is going to be very interesting to see that stretch after Blood and Guts, how they start to plan TV and book those two shows that are literally back to back. But yeah, it's what they do. So that's what they're in the business of. A lot of good stuff on this show. like I say, the low point is probably just the Jack stuff. Hollywood Jack Perry, as SF Productions is saying. But yeah, first week, I think he can go backstage, get some feedback, speak to some of the guys that have been here, done that, and can really, know how to add to this act he's doing. We've bounced around some ideas. Hope to see it develop into something else over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Any last bits from yourself?
Yeah, I thought the show was a decent show. I feel like I was obviously they're building, like right now it's kind of like the main thing is to build towards Blood and Guts, and obviously All In is the next pay-per-view, but it's a while away, so we're in that period of like semi-stalling.
Yeah,
like we're semi-stalling. We're not quite ready to build to All In yet, so we need something in between just to just stuff to do in it. So I feel like the next couple weeks at AEW, outside of Blackpool Combat Club and the Elite, will kind of just be
a bit
borderline fillerish. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. But I'm sure they'll rely heavily on the BCC and the Elite to really light up the shows and make us look forward to Blood and Guts.
Yeah.
Cool. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Those are watching live, those are gonna watch it back. Just in case you haven't seen it on the channel right now, AEW Fight Forever, a lot of gameplay footage that's been put together, so you can see, if you haven't got the game, you're not playing it just yet, you can see what the game looks like. It's looking like good fun. So yeah, if you're into that, you can check that out. Of course, I believe the audio for this week's podcast is out already. The video will be out tomorrow, so make sure you check that out as well. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We'll be back same time next week with some more AEW Dynamite review and news. So until then, we'll see you later.